flecks of Nadiva, the mother of pearl, islands of Pacifica scattered across the ocean. Blue skies kissed by the sun, the land pulsating with the heart of Mother Earth. Our Pacifica, spirit born of the land and sea.
We are coming to you live in the PBS Mid-South Pacific Pageant 2009 here at Albert Park in the capital of Fiji, Suva City.
I'm a school teacher. I went to the University of the South Pacific and I major in education and geography. So I've learned something about climatic change. Yeah. When I was a little girl, from that tree, it used to be land all over. With the sea level rise now, there's a lot of coastal erosion and it has come right up to this level. For some of these bure, when it's high tide, the water goes in. That didn't happen 20 years back.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is where I'm going to invite the queens onto the stage. So a big, big round of applause and welcome all the 12 queens vying for the PBS Miss South Pacific Pageant 2009.
The theme for this year's Miss South Pacific Pageant 2009 is preserving the environment the Pacific way.
If you'd asked me more than a year ago if I pictured myself as someone who would take part in a pageant, I would say an absolute no.
My name is Merwa Lesinela Tikao, but you can call me Mere. I'm 24 years old and I'm so proud, yet so humbled and thrilled to be hosting my Pacific sisters here in our island home of Fiji.
I was going through some things in life. I kind of felt like a hamster running on that little wheel that they run on. And the opportunity came about, so I thought to myself, why not?
My name is Bio Williams, and I'm so happy to represent my island home, the Kingdom of Tonga. Thank you so much.
Representing Papua New Guinea, Miss Antonia Singu.
My university, the University of Papua New Guinea, was keen to sponsor a student. It's not focusing just on the beauty aspect of the pageant, but also intellectual traits of women.
The land of 1,000 tribes and 1,000,000 different journeys, Papua New Guinea.
If I win Miss South Pacific 2009, I'm gonna go and roast me a pig this big and eat everything. I'm so tired of, you can't eat that, you can't eat that.
Another round of applause for all the queens.
The theme for this pageant is preserving the environment the Pacific way. We are small in numbers, we might have small islands, but in fact we cover 1/3 of the world's area, and we are the most affected because of climate change. And so we must make a stand and advocate for the issues of climate change here in the region.
The Miss South Pacific pageant began in the 1980s. It was established in Samoa. So as the years went by, more and more countries throughout the Pacific joined in. The most recent South Pacific pageant took place at Albert Park in Suva, here in Fiji. Suva is a city full of contrasts. It's bustling and it's busy, but at the same time it's really relaxed.
Yes, this is actually my first time in Suva. I love it. Everywhere we go is bula, bula. I'm like, bula vinaka. I'm trying to practice on my Fijian.
It is the hub of the region. My usual schedule on Saturdays involves going to church in the morning. Then I spend the afternoons with my dad. It's quite rare for us to be able to spend alone time together. Whenever I can, I like to drive him around.
On my 21st birthday, when most young people who turn that age are full of celebration and joy because it marks a new chapter of adulthood, I, on the other hand, happened to lose something very special to me, and that was my late grandfather, which is why when I was crowned Miss Papua New Guinea 2008-2009 in honor of my late grandfather, I chose to dedicate my win to him. Preparing for the pageant, I've engaged the help of friends and relatives from various parts of PNG to help me in terms of greetings and deliverance of speech, because Papua New Guinea has over 800 languages, so we're extremely diverse.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is Polynesian night, and the first judging night for the Queens in the PBS Miss South Pacific Pageant 2009 for Sarong, Lava Lava and Pareu.
The first category was the sarong.
It has to be 3 meters, it has to be able to be worn on the beach, and you also have to be able to swim wearing the sarong or sulu. It has to be tied in ways that are practical and culturally sensitive to society.
Yeah, you can really swim in a sarong. It just depends on the way you tie it. Definitely, absolutely.
In the South Pacific pageant, our sarong category really is the answer to the swimsuit category.
Miss French Polynesia Tahiri. Representing the Kingdom of Tonga, Paya Williams, Miss Cook Islands, Miss Aotearoa.
There was a headline in the Fiji Times that said "Crouching Queen." She did not want to participate in the pageant and just be a follower of the modern conventions of pageantry.
For her to stand firm and be strong, that's her culture.
I remember being in the hotel room with my cousins and my aunts, all trying to come up with unique ways to wear my sarong. We sat back and we halanoed, as we say in Fiji. What is a message that we want to put across? And we came across the importance of access to safe water, and about how the rise in sea levels is really increasing the salinity of our underground water supplies and the salinity of the land.
Through this creation, may I humbly request wider recognition from our Pacific countries on the lack of safe water against the milieu of rising sea levels, and that our chiefs and leaders reaffirm their commitment to ensuring access to quality water as a basic need for everyone.
Well, the Pacific Way for me has always meant being respectful of the environment, being aware of nature's natural rhythm and moving with it instead of against it. A cloud looms on the horizon. A strange wind blows from distant lands. Nets raping the ocean, land stripped in greed. Mother Earth weeps, hides her face in protection, calling, "Enough! Save our Mother Earth."
See, that is an uncle of mine, and the one that I was touching over there is my grandfather. And every time when full tide comes in, they're having a swim. And when the tide goes out, they're not properly dried. I won't be buried here because there's no more land over here. They might just check me into the ocean.
While we are many, many different islands, we have common ancestral and common historical links. So we are many people and we are one people at the same time. We have beautiful surroundings. We are surrounded by beauty in nature, beauty in our personalities, our generosity of spirit.
When you walk past anybody's home, they would call you, "My kanak," means come and eat. Even if they have nothing, they will still call, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Now we have sinking islands and atolls around the Pacific, and that just doesn't mean that we lose our islands, but we also lose our culture, because our culture is derived from the environment.
For those who live back in the island, they live and breathe their culture, their language, their history, their dance.
The traditionally inspired costume category really forced me and the people who were helping me to stretch our creative boundaries, because there are many rules in the category that forbid us from using synthetic materials, glitter, or anything that's not natural or not traditional.
Welcome back to Albert Park. It's beginning to get noisy here as people are enjoying themselves with the queens coming to showcase their traditional attire.
The colors represent the sunsets, the sunrises, and the flowing waters from Ranginui, the Sky Father, to Papakunuku, Mother Earth.
Representing Tuvalu, Miss Akelita Pesenga.
As you can see, the traditional attire Miss Tuvalu is wearing tonight is made from coconut fiber braided by men and women to use as natural strings.
Representing Papua New Guinea, Miss Antonia Singu.
Miss Papua New Guinea carries a lime pot, which stores lime powder made from ground coral shells.
This pageant has been extremely eye-opening. To have established a friendship and a close Pacific Island sisterly bond with my sister queens, it has given me a sense of appreciation and pride of what it is to be a South Pacific woman.
Representing the Kingdom of Tonga, Miss Paella Williams.
You're on stage looking all pretty, and when you come off, you're like running off, stripping everything, kind of like a big fashion show. I've grown up dancing my whole life, and backstage, time is crucial. It's like you're in and out of costume 20 seconds, 30 seconds.
Representing the Solomon Islands, Miss Millicent Barty.
Miss Solomon Islands presents to you an attire made out of shell money.
Let's welcome onto the stage Miss Kathy Lavini, Miss Arahoya Bire. Representing Fiji, Miss Merawalesi Naila Tikau.
Tonight, Merawalesi acknowledges her Vasu origins, her mother's village in Undu, Kambara in the Lauru.
Hey, this is my little nephew. I wanted to talk about Pacific women, to talk about the strength of Pacific women, the role that Pacific women play in nurturing future generations. Hey! It's a relationship that exists throughout the Pacific. You know, the importance of your link to your maternal family and to your maternal place of origin. Back in those days, there were no roads, there were no motorized boats, so to speak. So if you were born in an area and married someone from somewhere else, you would have to leave your village behind. You would leave your family behind. You know, there were no telephones, there was no email. You would leave, you know, a place that you're familiar with to go and live in a strange land amongst strange people. It was something that required a lot of bravery and courage for women in those days.
Representing the Cook Islands, Miss Engara Goslin. Representing American Samoa, Miss Larissa Matautia.
She did have the tattoos on her leg. You know, it showed that her community and her family placed her in such a position of high regard that she was a young woman who commanded respect.
Representing Samoa, Miss Fusi Saleha Pomele.
Miss Samoa's costume was spectacular. She looked like a mermaid. The most beautiful aquamarine color, and she used a lot of what we call in Fiji viva, a lot of mother of pearl shells.
I have two sons. One of my sons is in North Island and one of my sons is in New Zealand. They told me, "Dad, what are you doing there? Come." I said, "No, I won't do that. A burial ground is a sacred place, for all of us. And in the morning when I go out there and I look up towards our cemetery, it's sad. I can feel it that they are always watching."
Before we just fished from here and got what we wanted for lunch. Today you have to go further. It has killed the marine species that used to live along here. I'm a leader of a little group of women here, and I talk to them on awareness. So every Monday we meet up and we clean up and we do a bit of planting. We need people to be aware of what is happening.
In Albert Park, Suva, Fiji, the Pacific pageant flame keeps on burning. The spirit's coming alive out here at Albert Park tonight for the Queen's Talent Night.
The pageant gives us girls the opportunity to represent our country and to bring up the issues that our countries are going through.
I think a lot of Pacific people know about climate change, but just not how close it hits to home. And so for the South Pacific pageant, I had some time to think about what I wanted my talent to be. And naturally, I wanted to say something about climate change and to bring the issue closer to home for anyone who is watching.
To our friends in Micronesia, we say Kondamari, and to our listeners and viewers in Polynesia, we say Pagalovalayatu, Talofa, Yaurana, Tiaurana, Malolile, and from Fiji, we say Nisam Bulavinaka. Representing French Polynesia, Miss Aruhaya Pire. Representing Papua New Guinea, Miss Antonia Single.
I sat down one night and wrote a poem about how I feel about climate change and what it's doing to the Pacific. While the first part of my talent, which is a poem, is very urgent and is very powerful, the second half of the talent, which is the Fijian Meke, is exuberant. My talent really was, for me, the most important part of my performance. So I resolved to practice and to rehearse 10 times more than any other person would have to.
Miss Fire Williams.
Miss Tonga. I started dancing at the age of 6, and I just fell in love with the art of dancing. And so growing up dancing hula, hula is very a disciplined form of dance, and so you kind of have to get real low to the ground and just be as graceful as possible. At the age of 16, I started dancing professionally for Tihati Productions. That's where I learned how to dance the different forms of the dances of the South Pacific.
Representing the Republic of Kiribati, Taumiri Tetuai. Representing Samoa, Miss Tusi Saleya Pomele.
The first portion of the Meke is taken from Kantavu, which is the island that I come from. The second part is a fan dance.
Representing Aotearoa, New Zealand, Miss Parita Randall. Millicent Barty. Representing the Cook Islands, Miss Ingela Porcelain.
The great thing about Fijian Mekes is you don't need a CD or a music track. There's always someone who can chant for you and beat the lali, what we call the drum.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing Fiji, Miss Mirawalesi Naila Tikau.
My beautiful people, our voices must rise. The world must hear. let us step forward in unison.
Good to have you here on a beautiful warm day in Suva where we're all enjoying ourselves and the crowd is here. We're all looking forward to tonight's show, but right now it's the public judging. These are research questions. We'd like to welcome, representing Papua New Guinea, Miss Antonia Sanjawai Sindus.
I aspire to be a journalist because my late grandfather, Ian Clive Bowden, was an extremely renowned media icon in the PNG media. And also, in terms of development in Papua New Guinea, I feel that mass communication through journalism and the media is a way to go forward in terms of helping our people make informed choices about certain issues that are concerning the development of our country.
Miss Tingna Mastonga, ladies and gentlemen, give her a huge round of applause.
Here in the South Pacific, we have many low-lying islands, such as Tonga, Tuvalu, Kiribati, and we are most vulnerable to the impacts of climate change.
For most developed countries, this is not a matter of priority because they don't live on small atolls, and so they don't have this problem. So their priority will always be towards their own people, and so they go for economic growth at the ultimate cost of maybe the small islands like ours disappearing one day.
You know, one day playing in a playground and then the next day your playground's gone. And if I was to lose my land, all we have left is our culture.
Those people with a big building, you wouldn't worry. We are the ones that are suffering most. Us, poor people that live on the coastline.
I think it's all about telling a story. There's always that moment when you try to get something across to someone, they're like, I get it. I love that. Learning about Mr. Magoon really goes back to the speech for my presentation.
Miss PG Islands, Miss Merwalesi Nailatikau.
I didn't have much time to do my research.
What are some of the key themes?
Here I find myself sitting down the night before the presentation. I'm still trying to get all my information together, and my cousins are there helping me piece my thoughts together. And so a cousin of mine says to me, well, you've really got to start speaking from, something that means a lot to you, something that makes you feel the urgency. So my mind went back instantly to this photo that I'd seen. An elderly man stands waist deep in water, flanked by his two grandsons for whom the water reaches chest high. Behind them, rocky outcrops rise from the water. Gravestones of an earlier burial ground now underwater at high tide. What strikes me is the look in the man's eyes. I imagine them filled with the distant memory of a time when he could walk amongst the gravestones and visit the resting places of his loved ones. Now that forever remains a memory, and someday his grandsons will bury him in a strange place, far from the resting place of his forefathers. What I just described to you came from a photograph taken in the Navua Delta area of Fiji, just outside of Suva, where rising sea levels have engulfed an ancient burial ground. Looking at the photo, you get so much out of it. And I really just want to meet this person and just really know more about how he feels about it, and what he feels needs to be done. I think he's one of the people who we can say is on the forefront of climate change. He's seeing it happen in his own backyard. Moving off the page and into real life here in the Pacific, the definition of climate change is best described by our own experiences in our own environment.
Good, thank you.
She did a speech about you, about the village of the South Pacific coast in Australia. How did she?
Yes, I did hear about it.
We were wondering if you could take us to the site, if you don't mind. You know, it's a bit of a windy day.
It's about the flash floods here in Nandi that left thousands homeless without food and shelter. It's illustrated by the village women who must venture further out looking for shellfish. It underscores the farmer's misery who gets up at 4:30 a.m., uncertain of his harvest, to beat the scorching heat that arrives by 10 a.m. The Pacific is highly vulnerable, as many of our islands and atolls are amongst the lowest lying on Earth. Even on relatively high islands like Fiji, most of our populations live along the coast, meaning that even a sea level rise by a meter can mean a loss of homes, food sources, and the very destinations that have lured visitors to our beautiful shores. Pacific experts assess that some 165,000 living in low-lying areas in the Pacific, whole families and communities will bear the burden of climate change, with land and houses being washed away into the sea. Just as alarming is the attitude that it is someone else's problem. This type of thinking will surely condemn us.
In closing, if you were to ask me what worries me most about climate change, I would say this. In the face of a very real danger of profound loss, our failure to act aggressively on climate change generates within me a fear for the security of my island home and the island homes of my Pacific brothers and sisters. Thank you.
I feel connected to other Pacific Islands because I'm a Polynesian dancer, and so I've learned the dances of the Samoan culture, the Maori culture, Tahitian, and I feel connected because I respect it the way I respect my own culture.
I think our culture is like a universal language that unites us, like music. And although we are very far apart and we have national issues of our own countries to face, we need to establish a point of equilibrium between ourselves as Pacific Island people to work together to combat issues that are affecting our region.
Looking forward to the crowning tonight?
Yes and no, because it means this is the end and I'm going to miss all the other contestants.
We have a big crowd. I want to thank you all for being here and supporting the Queens on this last night. Please cheer them on as they make their way to the stage, ladies and gentlemen.
And now, the announcement of the top 5 contestants. And we invite the auditor, Mr. Kamlesh Kumar, to present the envelope containing the names of the top 5 queens.
The PBS Coca-Cola Miss South Pacific 4th runner-up is Miss Samoa,
Miss Salea Pomele.
The PBS ushered by Miss South Pacific 3rd runner-up is Miss Solomon Islands,
Miss Millicent Barty.
Miss Solomon Islands, Millicent Barty.
PBS Waterfall Miss South Pacific 2nd runner-up is Miss Otaria Pacific,
Miss Paretaunu Randall.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Aotearoa Paretaunu Randall.
Waterfall Miss South Pacific 1st runner-up is Miss Cook Islands,
Miss Angela Godwin. Now, while studying in Fiji, this young lady
aspires to play an active role in the local community with church and youth groups and their international Red Cross branch. She loves doing church community work and youth group community work.
Pacific Building Solution Miss South Pacific for 2010 is Miss Pageant.
Just as climate change is a problem for us all, the need for some countries is more urgent than others. We must let the world know that a threat to one of us is a threat to the entire South Pacific, and we will all make our concerns known.
We are many people, and we are one people at the same time.
We're all one.
We are still one in the South Pacific.
God bless our South Pacific.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the reigning Miss South Pacific 2009 and 2010, Miss Merawalesi Naila Tikau.
I think that's what makes the issue of climate change so unique, because when you have a problem, you can ask yourself, what can I do about it? But with climate change, it's not enough for just the Pacific countries that are being seriously affected to do something about it. We can do all we can, but it's only going to go so far if the developed countries do not stop with their carbon emissions. The problem is so huge, and it can make you feel angry sometimes, because the way that some people cope is to pretend that there isn't a problem at all. And the saddest thing about it is that nobody loves their environment more than we do here in the Pacific. You know, we grew up so close to the land, and we belong to our land. It's our most valuable resource. And, you know, we're known all over the world as a group of islands that are so beautiful, with friendly, smiling people. But we are also facing a very real danger. And if there's anything I'd like people to know about Pacific people, is that we are generous, we are friendly, we are entertaining, but we also have something very important to say. And what we have to say is that we are suffering. Our families are suffering. Our parents, our grandparents.
Buy your movie today, arzura.com.